Joining us right now are two U.S. senators from opposite sides of the aisle pushing for exactly that in the next stimulus bill. Let's welcome Senator Todd Young. He's a Republican from Indiana. Also, Senator Michael Bennet, who is a Democrat from Colorado. And gentlemen, thank you. Welcome to both of you, senators. Look, I have to say, Howard Schultz made a really compelling argument for this. It's a huge issue for the country when you consider how many jobs are tied up in small businesses. And it is an urgent and dire situation right now. First of all, I love seeing both sides work together. I hope to see more of this. But I think the real question comes down to how this works. So, Senator Young, maybe you can describe what the process would be.
Sure. My hope is that we can come together and recognize that when this pandemic hit, we were all hoping that this could somehow be addressed or navigated within a short period of time. So we were able to pass the Paycheck Protection Program. That helped out tens of millions of Americans stay attached to their employer, helped a lot of businesses stay solvent at this time. But they're going to require additional assistance. So what Michael and I propose in a bipartisan fashion and with the support of scores of allies here in the U.S. Senate is a long-term working capital loan for our hardest-hit businesses based on the amount of revenue loss that they've experienced from the beginning of the pandemic to the end. So we compare the revenue they earned last year to the revenue they've been able to generate this year. We think that this is going to require, an additional 6 months of assistance, and the terms of the loan, of course, will be favorable so that our Main Street businesses will survive this pandemic and remain engines of our economy on the back end.
Senator Bennet, how small does the company have to be in order to qualify? And the idea of loans being paid back, I mean, that is something we've heard from some of the small businesses we've talked to, that they don't think they can pay back loans eventually. Is there any chance that any of these loans would be forgiven?
So two really important points. The way we've drafted the bill is that it goes up to companies that have employees up to 5,000. We could see, maybe that number needs to be 2,000 or 3,000. But the reality is there aren't a ton of companies between 500 and 5,000 employees. There are a ton of workers there, and there are millions and millions of workers that are going to lose their jobs if these small businesses go away, which is what the purpose of the loans, the Restart Act is meant to stop. Your point on forgiveness is an enormously important one. So I think one of the features of this bill that's different than other proposals is that the loans are forgivable to the extent of the losses that firms take and to the extent that they use the money to pay salary and benefits, to pay rent, to pay utilities, those sorts of working capital requirements of businesses. It's no small business in America caused this pandemic. And I think it's critical for us to have loan forgiveness here so that companies aren't submerged under a bunch of new debt. That won't do anybody any good. And that's one of the big differences between this program and the Paycheck Protection Program, which came before. Another huge difference, as Senator Young said, is this: in order to be eligible for these loans, you have to be able to show that your revenue has declined as a result of the pandemic. There are businesses whose revenues haven't declined, and they were eligible for the Paycheck Protection Act. We don't think that's right. We think that we should be focused on the hardest hit businesses in America and doing everything we can to get them back on their feet. Part of that is having loan forgiveness as an essential ingredient of the package.
What's the price tag, Senator Bennet?
We think that for about $300 billion worth of equity here, we can lever about $1 trillion worth of loans. I think that's similar to the number that Howard Schultz talked about on your show, and I think it reflects the order of magnitude response we need to deal with here. Look, nobody wants to be in the situation we're in. I think what Todd and I are trying to do is everything we can do to make sure that when the lights start to go on again, America's small businesses are still here, and that we haven't seen the kind of carnage that otherwise we're going to see. Hundreds of thousands of small businesses, millions of employees losing their jobs, and those businesses never to return. You saw the numbers in New York just yesterday. Those numbers are happening all over, my state of Colorado and the state of Indiana. This is a bloodletting like we have never seen before in the small business sector in our country. and they didn't cause this problem. We can stand together to help save them and help save the American economy as a result.
Just a quick point
Senator
on that.
Young, go ahead.
I think it's worth noting, it's a point I've made before, we can't be penny wise and pound foolish here. This is expensive, but the most fiscally irresponsible, the most expensive thing we could do is to fail to help out these businesses, to make them permanently insolvent, to permanently go out of business, and for employees to go on public assistance. That would be highly expensive, and also the innovation cost to our economy would be enormous.